Insights from the Transcript. Introduction. Everyone wants to get better, learn new things, and be a better person. This feeling makes us want to learn new skills, understand the world more, and find our hidden strengths. It feels exciting to learn something new, like opening a door to a bright room. Learning isn't always one big step. Often, it's many small discoveries that, when put together, change how we see and do things. These discoveries can make us feel stronger and more sure of ourselves. Sometimes, the best lessons are in simple talking. When people talk, share ideas, or teach, it's like good soil where ideas can grow. Written notes of these talks, called transcripts, are like maps to these ideas. By reading these written talks carefully, we can find deeper meanings and learn how to use what was said. This book will take you on a trip to find these treasures, looking at the good lessons in a special summary of a talk. This book is about the main ideas in that talk summary. We will not just look at the surface. We will go deep into the main thoughts and repeated topics that make the talk important. These are the core messages, the basic ideas that hold everything together. We want to do more than just tell the story. We want to truly understand why these main ideas matter and what they mean for us. You will see how they fit together to make a whole picture. To help us explore, we will use a special tool, key themes. Think of a key theme as one of the most important threads in a beautiful, woven cloth. It's a main idea that shows up again and again, giving the whole cloth its shape and design. Or, think of a favorite song. The key themes are like the main tunes that you remember, and that make the song what it is. By finding and understanding these key themes, we can get the most from the talk and see all its small details. This book will show you how to find these key themes and explain what they mean, making the talk's message clear and strong. The talk we are studying has two main parts. One big key theme is learning English. But it's not just about learning words. It's about making learning easy and fun, especially for people who are just starting or want to get better. Another important key theme is how we can make our brains stronger. The talk shows that learning a language and making our minds stronger are linked. It gives easy ways to do both, like listening to simple stories, practicing often, learning new words, and feeling more confident. These are great examples of key themes we will find, showing how learning a language can help our minds grow. This book will give you clear, useful ideas from a real example. By the end, you will understand the talk's messages much better. More importantly, you will know how to use these ideas in your own life. If you want to learn English better, make your brain sharper, or just grow as a person, these ideas will be helpful. So come with us on this adventure. We will uncover the important lessons in the talk and turn them into things you can do. 1. Learning English basics. Learning a new language, especially one spoken by many people like English, can feel like climbing a very big hill. Where do you start? But the text you are reading shows an easy and good way for people who are just beginning. It helps you learn the basics of English in a way that feels like fun, not like hard work. It says the most important part of learning is using simple stories. Think about how young children learn. They learn words by hearing stories, by the sound of words, and by the pictures those words make in their heads. This text suggests that same way for grown-ups. It says instead of learning hard grammar rules or long lists of words, we can use easy stories. These stories are not just for fun, they are made to help us learn words. They show words and how they are used. When you read a simple story about someone going to the shop, you don't just learn the word shop. You learn about going, about buying, about food, all put together so it makes sense. Learning words this way is easier to remember and more useful than just memorizing single words. This text says these simple stories build a strong base, a good understanding, before you learn harder things. This makes learning feel less scary and makes you feel good when you finish each story. This way of learning English basics, as shown in the text, helps with more than just one part of language. It helps with many things at the same time. When you read a simple story, you do many things. You read, which helps you learn new words and understand better. You listen, if the story is read out loud, which helps you understand English when people speak it, and you learn how to say words and how people sound when they talk. And when you see and hear new words and phrases many times in the story, you start to remember them. You don't have to try hard to memorize them. They just become part of what you know. The text shows how reading and listening work together and make each other stronger. The words you see become words you hear, and the words you hear help you see them again. This working together is a strong way to learn, and it's a main idea in the text. It shows how different language skills can grow at the same time, making learning faster and more enjoyable. What is very important about this way of learning English basics from the text is how it helps you feel sure of yourself and speak well. For many new learners, being afraid of making mistakes stops them. Thinking about speaking English can make them nervous, so they don't speak much. But this text way helps you feel more sure, little by little. By starting with simple stories, you can practice reading out loud, listening to yourself, and getting used to the sounds and rhythm of English without pressure. When you feel more comfortable with the words and how sentences are put together in these stories, you will feel more able to use the language. This growing understanding helps you want to speak more. The text says the more you hear and see good English, the better you will speak. It's not about speaking perfectly right away, but about making steady progress. Each story you finish, each sentence you understand, adds a little bit to your confidence, helping you speak more easily. This focus on building confidence with easy-to-understand material is a key part of the learning process it describes. The text is very smart in thinking about who it is for. The ways it talks about learning English basics are made to be easy for many different people. For people who know nothing about English, the focus on simple stories gives a clear and not scary place to start. It removes the first problems that can make new language learners give up. For people who already know a little, maybe from school or trying before, this text way helps make that knowledge stronger and build on it. It's about going from knowing words to being able to use them. This means the text can be a useful thing for many different people at different points in their English learning. It knows that everyone starts somewhere and gives a clear, easy plan for starting and moving forward. This makes the text's ideas very helpful for anyone wanting to learn basic English. Let's look closer at how these simple stories work so well. The text points to some specific things that make this way very good. First, there is repeating. Stories often use the same words and phrases again in different ways. This is not boring. It helps you remember. Imagine a story about a cat named Leo. Leo might chase a red ball, then sleep on a red mat, and then eat from a red bowl. The word red is used many times, with different things, helping you understand and use it. Second, the story itself is a great way to learn. Stories have a start, a middle, and an end. They have characters, places, and things that happen. This gives a frame for understanding, making it easier to learn new words and how sentences are built. When you learn a new word in a story, you remember not just the word, but also what was happening when you learned it. This makes the word more meaningful and easier to recall. The text says learning words this way is much better than memorizing words from a list. Also, the text says it's important to picture things in your mind. When we read or hear a story, our minds make pictures. These pictures help us remember the words. The more clear the story, the stronger the link between the words and what they mean. Think of a story about a busy street in a city. You might see tall buildings, cars driving, and people walking. This seeing in your mind makes the language easier to remember and more fun. The text suggests that by helping learners picture the scenes and people in the stories, learning becomes more like being there and more interesting. Using your imagination like this is a very important part of learning a language, and people often forget about it. The text also clearly shows how reading and listening help you speak and feel more confident. It's a natural step. When you read a story, you learn how sentences are put together and the words used. When you listen to the same story, you hear how those words and sentences are said. This double learning prepares you to speak. The text suggests that learners can start by just saying sentences from the story out loud. This might feel strange at first, but it's a very important step for saying words correctly and speaking smoothly. As learners get more comfortable with what they are learning, they can start to change the stories, making up new characters or events, and by doing this, they are practicing speaking. This is where confidence starts to grow. Every time you can make a sentence, even if it's just repeating, it makes you feel good. The text shows that by giving a strong base of understanding through reading and listening, starting to speak becomes much easier and less scary. It's like learning to swim by first getting used to the shallow water before going deeper. The text's main idea of learning in a practical, easy way is shown here, proving that even hard skills like speaking can be broken into small, manageable steps. Think of an example. Imagine a new learner, let's call her Anya, who uses the methods from the text. Anya starts with a very simple story about a dog named Max who likes to play fetch. She reads it, then listens to it. She learns words like dog, ball, run, and fetch. She practices saying these words. Then she reads a slightly harder story about Max going to the park. Here she learns words like park, tree, happy, and friend. She hears how these new words are used with the words she already knows. She might even try to tell a friend in her simple English, Max is happy in the park. This is a direct result of the combined learning the text talks about. Reading and listening have prepared her to try speaking, and her confidence grows with each sentence she can make. The text's focus on these basic steps makes sure that learners like Anya don't get confused by hard grammar right away, but instead build a strong understanding through interesting stories. This fits perfectly with the book's main idea, looking at important thoughts from the text, and this part focuses on one of the most basic, which is learning language as a practical skill. The text's main idea, a key theme, a detailed examination of the central ideas and concepts highlighted in the transcript summary, is clearly shown here by explaining how basic English is learned. The text doesn't just give a method, it shows a way of thinking about learning. It says that learning basic English should be fun and make you feel strong. By using simple stories, it uses our natural love for stories and being involved. This makes learning feel less like a job and more like exploring. The text shows that by learning the basics of English this way, learners are not just gaining a new language, but they are also making their brains work better. They are improving their memory, their ability to focus, and their skill at solving problems as they figure out what things mean and how they fit together. This good effect on many parts of your life is very important. The text shows that learning basic English is not something done alone, but something that can help you grow as a person. The text's way of learning English basics is a proof of how good simple and combined methods can be. It shows that by using familiar things like stories and by helping reading, listening, and speaking grow at the same time, learners can build a strong base in English. This method makes you feel confident and makes learning interesting, especially for beginners. It's a clear example of a key idea, that practical skills can be learned through simple, easy methods. While the text clearly shows a strong way to build basic English skills, Its good effects go beyond just learning the language. As we will see next, these same learning processes also help make our minds work better and stay sharp. 2. Strengthening the brain. Learning new things from this book is like giving your brain a great workout. It makes your brain stronger and healthier. Imagine lifting weights makes your muscles strong. When you learn and practice new things, like a language, your brain gets stronger too. It makes new connections and makes old ones work better. This is not just about remembering words. It is about using your mind in ways that make it more powerful. Think about Anya. She started learning a new language. At first, it felt hard, like putting together a puzzle with many pieces. She listened to stories and read simple sentences. She tried to understand what they meant. This work to understand, to connect new sounds and meanings, was like a gym for her brain. After a few weeks, she remembered more words. She also felt more awake and focused. It was like a fog lifted, and her thoughts were clearer. This is not magic. It is because her brain was challenged and grew. Learning a new language helps your memory get better. You learn new words, phrases, and rules. You have to remember them to use them. Remembering things is a basic exercise for your brain. The more you do it, the better you get. This book tells you to try to use what you learn. This is not just for tests. It is to make words part of what you use every day. This helps your short-term memory, which holds what you just heard or read. It also helps your long-term memory, which keeps information for later. It is like making a better filing system in your mind so you can find things easily. Learning also makes you better at solving problems. Imagine listening to a story in a new language. You might not know every word, but you try to guess the meaning from what you hear, the way someone speaks, or words you already know. This is like being a detective for your brain. You look for clues, make guesses, and put pieces together to understand what is being said. This work to understand and figure things out helps you analyze information and find answers. This book helps you understand by looking at the context, not just translating every word. This makes your brain better at solving problems in many parts of your life. When you face a new challenge, your brain, trained by learning a language, is better at breaking it down and finding a way forward. A big idea is neuroplasticity. This means your brain can change and adapt as you live. Your brain is not fixed. It can grow and make new paths. Learning a new language is a great way to keep your brain plastic. When you learn something new, you make new paths between brain cells and make old ones stronger. This keeps your brain flexible and able to change. Think of it like a garden path. If you don't use a path, it gets overgrown. But if you walk it often, it stays clear. By doing things that make your brain work, you keep it able to learn and adapt. This helps you stay sharp as you get older and keeps your mind from getting weaker. It helps your mind stay quick and ready. The good things go beyond just thinking. Learning and getting better also makes you feel good. When Anya understood a new sentence or said something clearly, she felt proud. This feeling of success is very strong. It builds your confidence. When you know you can learn something hard, you are more likely to try other new things with a good attitude. This confidence can make your mind more flexible. You feel more able and willing to try new ideas and experiences. This good cycle of learning, succeeding, and feeling confident makes your brain more open to new things and more willing to try challenges. This makes your brain stronger and more lively. It is a good cycle that helps your mind and spirit. When we look at what your brain does when you learn with this book, we see it gets better. Listening to someone speak a language needs you to pay attention. Your brain has to ignore other things and focus on the sounds. It has to hear the words and their order. This is a direct workout for your brain's attention. Following a story, in audio or writing, also uses your working memory. You need to remember the start of a sentence to understand the end. This juggling of information makes your brain better at handling and processing things as they happen. Also, figuring out what a new language means is like recognizing patterns and using logic. When you learn new words or grammar, you are testing ideas. You guess what something means based on other words in the situation. Then you see if your guess is right. This is a main part of solving problems. This book helps you understand by using context, not just translating everything. This makes your brain think more deeply. It teaches your brain to look for how things are connected. This skill can be used in many other areas. This is not just about learning English. It is about making your brain work better and smarter. This book often has you hear the same phrases or ideas in different ways. This is not boring. It is smart. Each time you see them, it makes the paths in your brain stronger. This helps you remember things better and find them more easily. It is like making a path in a forest deeper and deeper. The more you walk it, the easier it becomes. This is how long-term memory is built. Your brain learns to store and find information by seeing it often and by actively using it. This keeps your brain from getting weaker. Think about how your brain changes when it has to do new things. When you learn a new language, you ask your brain to process things in new ways. It has to learn new sounds, understand new rules that might be different from your own language, and connect new words with ideas. This change is what neuroplasticity is about. Your brain does not stay the same. It physically changes when it faces new challenges. New connections can form, old ones can get stronger, and new networks can be built. This constant change keeps your brain strong and able to do hard tasks. It is a living system that gets better with use. This book shows how learning can make you feel more capable. When you finish a hard lesson or understand a difficult conversation, you feel like you have achieved something. This success builds confidence. This confidence can make you want to learn more. This feeling of confidence can also make your mind more flexible. You will be more willing to try other tasks that need thinking. Someone who feels confident learning a language might be more likely to take on a new work, project, or learn a new skill. This active trying of challenges helps your brain stay healthy and work well. It is a good cycle where mental effort leads to more ability, which leads to more mental effort. The questions in this book show how your brain gets better. What parts of your brain get stronger? We have seen that attention, memory, recognizing patterns, using logic, and focus all get better. The ways you learn with this book make your brain work hard on these parts. How does learning a new language make your brain stay sharp and young and fight off getting weaker? It does this by keeping your brain able to change and adapt. It gives your brain a regular, complex challenge that makes it grow and strengthens its paths. This active use is key to keeping your brain working well and preventing it from getting weaker as you age or don't use your mind enough. Your brain, like your body, gets much better with regular exercise. Learning a language is a rich and fun way to do this. Beyond making your brain work better, this mental sharpness also helps you feel more confident and try new things in your life. This can help you use your new skills in everyday situations. 3. Simple stories for learning. People want to connect with others. Stories are a great way to do this. They are more than just fun. They help us understand the world and ourselves. When we learn new things, like a language or difficult ideas, a simple story might seem too easy. But these easy stories are very powerful for learning. They make learning feel less like work and more like an exciting journey. Think about it. When you see a list of facts or hard instructions, your mind might stop paying attention. It's like trying to drink too much water at once. It's too much and hard to take in. Simple stories, however, are like a nice, clear stream. They have a start, a middle, and an end. They have people you can understand, even if their lives are different from yours. They show a problem and how it gets solved. This is not just nice to hear, it's how our brains like to learn. This is a main idea from the summary. Simple stories show the main ideas in an easy and interesting way. For someone learning a new language, this is very helpful. Imagine trying to remember many words without knowing how they are used. It's like having bricks but not knowing how to build a house. A simple story uses those bricks to build a world. When someone in a story needs to buy bread, you learn the word for bread and how to say to buy by seeing it happen. You see how words go together, how they are used in real life. This is important. It's not just knowing a word, it's knowing what it means and how to use it. Reading simple stories helps you understand better because you follow what happens, see why things happen, and figure out what sentences mean. Listening to stories makes your listening skills better. You start to hear how words are said, how voices change, and the flow of the language. Learning new words happens naturally as you follow the story, not by forcing yourself to memorize. Each new word helps you understand more of the story, and that feeling of getting better is very encouraging. This way of getting involved makes learning with simple stories much more fun than old ways. It uses our natural love for stories. We are made to like stories. They are how we have shared knowledge for a very long time. When learning is like a story, it becomes more interesting. We care about what happens to the people in the story, which makes us pay more attention. This means our brains work harder, pay more attention, and are more ready to learn. Instead of just getting information, we are part of a journey. This active part is key to learning well, and simple stories make it easy for everyone. Also, engaging with simple stories helps learners feel more confident. When you first start learning something new, it can feel scary. So much new information can feel overwhelming, making you feel bad and want to quit. Simple stories offer a way to feel better. They are made to be easy to finish. The words are simple, the sentences are usually short, and the story is easy to follow. This means learners can succeed often. They can finish a story and feel proud. This feeling of "I did it" is a strong motivator. It tells the learner they can do it, they are making progress, and they can handle more. This good feeling helps you keep learning. Each story you finish builds confidence, making the next story and the next challenge seem less scary. It's like learning to walk. You take small steps, and each step makes you feel brave enough to take more. Learning with stories helps your brain in ways that go beyond what you were learning. The summary suggests this method helps make our brain strong and keeps it quick and young. When we are in a story, our brains work in many ways. First, we have to understand it. We figure out words, understand how sentences are put together, and follow the story. This uses the parts of our brain that handle language and thinking. Second, we often have to imagine what things look like, what people are like, and how they feel. This uses the parts of our brain that handle pictures and feelings, making us better at understanding others and imagining things. When we learn a new word or a new way to say something in a story, our brains work harder to remember it because it's linked to a situation, a meaning, and a feeling. This connection makes memories stronger and easier to recall. Stories also make us guess what will happen next. We think about what might happen based on what people do and what's happening in the story. This guessing makes us think more deeply and see patterns. Our brains are always looking for connections and guessing what will happen, which is a basic part of being smart. This mental work, done with many simple stories, is like exercise for the brain. It keeps the brain's paths working and flexible, helping the brain stay healthy and perhaps slowing down problems that come with age. The brain, like a muscle, gets better with regular, different kinds of exercise. Learning with stories gives this different and interesting mental exercise, helping the brain stay healthy and quick. It's not just about learning facts. It's about making the brain better at learning, remembering, and thinking. Simple stories can be used in many ways, which makes them very effective. They are not just for one age group or one level of learning. For someone just starting English, a story might have only a few very short sentences and basic words, maybe about a cat on a mat. For someone who knows more English, the stories can be harder with longer sentences, more words, and more complex plots. This means simple stories can be used all through the learning process. They give a good start for those who are new, offering an easy way to begin with a language or idea. As learners get better, they can read slightly harder stories, slowly learning more without feeling overwhelmed. This step-by-step way makes learning feel manageable and rewarding at every stage. It's a bridge that takes learners from what they know now to new levels of knowledge and skill. Let's look at how the parts of a simple story help it work, compared to other ways of learning. Unlike a book that might explain grammar rules alone, a story puts these rules into how people talk. You don't just learn that the past of go is went, you read about someone who went to the store yesterday. This real use makes the rule easy to remember and understand. Also, compared to cards with words that have no connection, a story shows you how a word is used in a sentence, what it suggests, and how it relates to other words. This rich context is something that single facts or words don't provide. The clear plot in a simple story also helps. A story with a clear start, middle, and end guides the learner through events, making it easier to follow and understand the main message. This is different from learning things that are abstract or theoretical, which can sometimes feel disconnected and hard to grasp. The people in simple stories that you can relate to also offer an emotional connection. We understand why they do things, what problems they have, and when they succeed. This emotional connection makes learning more personal and therefore more impactful. The ways our brains work are interesting. When we read or listen to a story, our brains get pulled into the story. We become part of the story world. This immersion uses many parts of our brain, including those for language, memory, feelings, and even sensing things as we imagine what we see and hear. This wide use makes the connections between different parts of the brain stronger. For example, learning a new word in a story doesn't just use the language part of the brain. It also uses the memory parts to store the word, and maybe the feeling parts if the word is linked to an emotion. This many-sided use makes learning deeper and last longer. The brain is essentially building a richer, more connected web of knowledge around each new piece of information. This process of building these detailed connections is what keeps the brain quick and young, helping it to change and grow throughout life. It's a constant process of building and strengthening brain paths, and stories are great fuel for this important work. We have seen how simple stories make learning easy and good for both skills and brain health. Now, let's look at how this idea of simple involvement can be used in other areas of growing as a person, moving from basic learning to building skills on purpose. 4. Building speaking confidence. The hardest part of learning a language is often going from just knowing it to being able to speak it well. Many people can understand when others talk or read books, but they feel shy when it's their turn to speak. The ways talked about in this writing help fix this problem. It's not a quick fix. It's about building a strong base and growing from there. This part explains how the main ideas in the writing help people feel more comfortable and able to speak English. The most important thing for speaking well is practicing a lot. The writing always says it's important to use the language often. This means more than just doing lessons. It means using the language in your everyday life. When you read a story, you learn how sentences are made, how ideas fit together, and how people who speak the language naturally say things. Every sentence you read helps you get used to how language works. Listening to people talk, to radio shows, or even music in English helps your ears get used to it. You start to hear the beat, the way people stress words and common phrases. When things sound familiar, they are less scary. The more you hear and read English, the easier it is to speak it. It's like learning to ride a bike. You might fall at first, but each time you try, you get better. The writing says that this steady, gentle practice is the foundation for speaking well. It's the slow gathering of language experiences that makes you less afraid to speak. Also, knowing many words is a big help. Learning new words is not just about remembering what they mean. It's about having more ways to say things. If you want to say something is very good, you might know the word good. But what if you want to say it was amazing or excellent? The writing suggests that learning these better, more exact words gives you more choices. This makes you less worried about not being able to find the right words. Instead of trying hard to make a sentence with few words, you have options. Being able to say what you think clearly and well makes you feel more sure of yourself. It's like a painter having many colors. They can paint more detailed and beautiful pictures. When you know many words, you feel ready to talk about different things and share more feelings and ideas. This naturally makes you more confident when you speak. It makes you feel ready and like you have what you need to talk well. The writing also strongly suggests that actively using the language is very important to go from understanding to speaking. Just reading or listening is good for getting information, but it doesn't automatically make you speak. Actively using it means doing something with the language. The writing might not say exactly how to practice speaking, but it encourages you to use the language. When you read something and then try to say it in your own words, you are thinking hard about it. When you listen to a show and then think about what was said, you are using your brain to understand. And remember, this active thinking makes the language more your own. It's more than just knowing it, it's using it. This helps you get used to not just the words and rules, but to the act of using the language. The more you use it actively, the less strange and scary speaking feels. It's like watching someone swim versus getting in the water yourself. The writing's way of encouraging you to always use what you learn helps you use the language actively, so speaking feels less like a jump into the unknown and more like a natural next step. Most importantly, the ways of learning and teaching in the writing often create a feeling of good encouragement. Learning through stories, for example, is more fun and less scary than just studying grammar rules. When someone follows a story, understands the characters, and gets the message, they feel good. This good feeling is very important for building confidence. Every time someone understands a new story or a tricky idea in an easy way, they have a small success. These small wins, over time, make them believe they can learn and do well. The kind and helpful tone, often found in good learning materials, makes this even stronger. It tells learners that making mistakes is okay and that they are making progress. This good feeling makes people less afraid of being judged, which is a big reason why they don't speak. When learners feel supported and encouraged, they are more likely to try new things, use new phrases, and speak more freely. The writing's focus on easy and interesting learning creates this good feeling, making the path to speaking confidence more enjoyable and less stressful. In the end, the ways talked about in the writing are made to help you go from just understanding to actually speaking. This is a very important step in becoming confident when speaking. Many learners get stuck where they can understand, but can't say what they want. The writing's focus on always hearing and reading the language, along with encouraging you to use it, directly helps with this. By making the language familiar through hearing and reading it many times, and by giving you the words vocabulary to express yourself, these ways prepare you to speak. It's like learning to cook. You can read recipes and watch cooking shows, but until you actually hold a knife and start cutting, you haven't really learned to cook. The writing's way gives you the things you need and a place to practice. making the move to speaking feel natural. Every time someone understands a story, learns a new idea, or thinks of a new word, they get closer to speaking confidently. This slow building, with steady practice and good feelings, is the best way to make sure understanding turns into smooth and confident speaking. The main idea here is that the writing's approach is not just about knowing things, but about turning that knowledge into a skill you can use, which makes you better at talking and more sure of yourself. Think about Anya, a student who studied English for many years. She could read books easily and understand most movies, but the thought of joining a conversation in class made her very nervous. She worried about saying the wrong words, using bad grammar, or not being understood. She mostly just learned by herself, but the ideas in the writing gave her a new way to think. Instead of just reading, she started reading out loud, even if only to herself. She listened to shows and then tried to say the sentences, copying how the speakers sounded. She kept a small book, writing down new words and phrases she found, not just what they meant, but how they were used. For example, she learned the word endeavor not just as try, but by seeing it used in phrases like a noble endeavor or she began a new endeavor. This helped her understand it better. When she read an interesting story about an explorer, she didn't just finish reading it. She tried to tell the story to an imaginary friend, using the descriptive words she had learned. This act of telling the story again, of saying it in her own way, was the most important step. It made her use the words and grammar she had learned without really thinking about it. Every time she managed to tell part of the story, even if not perfectly, it made her less afraid. She started to see that the more she practiced using the language, the less worried she became. The words that used to hide when she needed them started to come to her more easily. The sentences that felt confusing started to make sense. This process directly answered the question of how reading and listening lead to speaking confidence. Anya saw that reading was not just about understanding. It was about learning how sentences are put together and how words are used. Listening was not just about understanding. It was about learning the natural sound and flow of the language. By actively using what she read and heard, reading out loud, repeating phrases, retelling stories, she was practicing. The physical and mental act of speaking without the pressure of talking to someone. The effect of learning new words became clear for Anya too. She noticed that when she had more words, she didn't have to try so hard to make long sentences. For example, instead of saying he was very happy because he got a new job, she could now say he was overjoyed at getting his new job. Going from happy to overjoyed and from got a new job to getting his new job felt more advanced and, more importantly, more natural. Being able to say things more clearly and with more detail made her feel more capable and less afraid of sounding simple or wrong. It made her feel strong. The writing's focus on steady, easy learning created a good feeling for Anya. She wasn't given hard grammar rules she didn't understand. Instead, she learned through stories and talks that felt important and interesting. This made learning fun, and the small successes, understanding a hard part, using a new word correctly when retelling a story, gave her the good encouragement she needed. She started to see mistakes not as failures, but as chances to learn. If she said a word wrong or used a wrong phrase, she would just fix herself and keep going, knowing this was part of the process. This change in how she thought, helped by the encouraging way the learning materials were made, was key to her growing confidence. The main idea of the writing's approach in this situation is that building speaking confidence happens naturally from a good and interesting learning process. It's not about forcing yourself to speak before you are ready, but about creating situations where speaking becomes an easy and rewarding next step. By always using the language through reading and listening, by learning more words, and by actively thinking about what you learn, learners like Anya slowly go from just understanding to actually speaking. This journey, with good encouragement and a focus on using what you learn, leads to a real and lasting increase in speaking confidence. Now that we have seen how the writing's approach helps people feel more confident speaking, we will look at another important, and perhaps surprising, good thing that comes from it: the positive effect on brain health. Conclusion: we are at the end of our look at the writing. We learned many things. This book wanted to show us the main ideas in a piece of writing, and now we can see it all. We found the important messages, and we called them main ideas. Knowing these main ideas helps us understand what the writing is really about and why it was written. We found several main ideas, but two were the most important. They were the main points of the writing. The first big main idea is that learning English is very important. The writing shows that many people want to learn English. It's not just knowing some words. It's about getting better at reading, listening, speaking, and understanding. This idea shows that people want to connect with others, find new chances, and see more of the world by learning a new language. The writing says this is a good thing to do, and it will help you grow and find new chances. The second important main idea we found is that learning English is good for your brain. This is a strong idea. It means that trying to learn a language helps keep your mind sharp and young. The writing suggests that learning new words, how to put sentences together, and talking with others is like exercise for your brain. It's not just about school. It's about keeping your mind working well, helping you stay awake and able to do things. This main idea makes learning a language even more important, showing it helps you be healthy overall. What makes this writing special is how it connects these two main ideas. It's not just about learning a language. It's about using language learning to make your mind stronger. The writing says that the act of learning English, practicing, learning new words, trying to talk is good for your brain. Trying to learn a language makes your brain work better. This is a great connection. By working to learn English, you are also helping to keep your brain healthy and active. These main ideas work together, making the message stronger and more interesting. The writing shows how learning a language and having a healthy mind go hand in hand. By knowing these main ideas, we can see how helpful this writing is. For people who want to learn English, the writing shows a clear way. It says to practice and learn step by step. It helps new learners and those who know a little to feel more sure and speak more easily. At the same time, for anyone who wants to keep their mind sharp, the writing shows that learning a language is an easy and fun way to do it. The idea that simple stories and regular practice can help you learn a language and make your brain better is a big thing to remember. This study shows that the writing gives a clear plan to learn a language well and have a healthy mind, making it useful for many people. As we finish this part, we are reminded of something important: seeking knowledge, especially in fun ways like learning a language, is not just about getting new skills. It's also about making your mind sharper and stronger. The main ideas we looked at give us a good plan for a more interesting and mentally lively life. The writing shows us that learning is something you do your whole life, and it can help you in more ways than you might think. We hope this study helps you keep learning and see how powerful learning can be.